Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to continue with the fill and stroke tool, but before that one of my subscribers asked me in the comment section of a previous video what's the difference between alpha and opacity, and to see that first I'll need to apply a stroke to my object, and then I'll go to the stroke style and type 40 for the width, so the changes that I'm going to make are more obvious. Then I'll go back to the fill and use the alpha slider here to reduce the opacity, and you see how only the fill of the object becomes transparent. I'm going to move the slider all the way to the right to get full opacity and go to stroke paint, and I'm going to grab the slider and move it to the left, and you see how only the stroke paint becomes transparent. Next I'll hit Ctrl Z to undo that and use this opacity slider here. I'm going to move it to the left, and you see how the entire object becomes transparent. So this opacity slider here affects both the stroke and the fill, and the alpha affects only the fill or the stroke. Now let's remove this stroke, go back to the fill and use this linear gradient option. Next I'll select the create and edit gradients tool, and by doing this now I'm able to see the gradient vector, which is this line here and this square and circle. The square represents the start stop of the gradient and the circle the end stop, and if you ever forget which is which, you can always mouse over and see down here for the square it says start and for the circle it says end. So by default in Inkscape the gradient starts from the left side of the object and ends on the right side. And also on the left we have the selected color full opacity, and on the right we have full transparency. I'm going to show you a different ways of how you can reverse this gradient, and the first one is by using the select and transform tool. So let's click on that and use this option over here, or press the H key, and this actually flip the object, and this may be fast and easy, but depending on the situation this might not be the right way to do this. So I'm going to show you two more ways how you can reverse the gradient. So let's undo this and go back to create and edit gradients tool. Grab this square, hold down the Control key, and I'm going to place it over here. Then I'll grab the circle, and again holding down the Control key I'll place it over here, and I'm holding down the Control key to snap angle. So this is another way to do it. Control Z to undo, and let's go to the edit option here, and we get this dialog, and you see that we have two stops here. This one is the start and this one is the end stop. And by the way, don't get confused by this checkerboard here indicating transparency on the left, because on our object, as you can see, the transparency is on the right. You can see more accurate representation of the gradient on top here. Now let's reverse this gradient by selecting the first stop here, and then go to the alpha and move this slider all the way to the left. And then I'm going to select the second stop, which is our end stop, then grab the alpha slider and move it all the way to the right, and you see we reversed the gradient. Now this dialog here has proven to be very difficult for beginners to understand and learn how to use. That's why I'm going to make at least one more, maybe two tutorials about this dialog and explain it in detail so you can learn how to use it without having any problems. This was just scratching the surface. There's a lot more to cover here, so I'm going to continue in the next tutorial. And if this video was useful, subscribe, like it. That's it for now. Bye.